Well, hello there, my beautiful friends, my fellow space blobs and sparkly blobs, or whatever form you want to describe yourself as. I'm here for it. And welcome back to our little space here. My name is Sarah, and in this space, we explore life. Its bittersweetness, its mystery, its not knowing, all of the quieter, subtler ways that we exist in this world without the pressure to constantly be in self-improvement, to constantly be trying to maximize ourselves as people. And I'm coming into this chat. It's the end of the year. I mentioned in the December notes conversation that I've been feeling a little worn out and just needing more pauses to kind of think about what I'm creating, what I'm doing, what the road looks like. And I definitely felt that way this morning. I've just been feeling really, really tender before sitting down for this chat. But I decided that, even though I don't feel perhaps like in my shiniest, most luminous state of my entire life, that actually these are places of really deep value. And I know that those of you who sit with me here relate to a lot of the things that I go through and relate to my own creative wonderings and not knowings. And so I think a lot of times I'll think I need to be a certain way to sit down and have a conversation with you all. And then I realize that really bringing myself in different ways, different energetic states is really, really valuable because it shows a process that is very real, which is that we don't always feel like shining beacons of fun and play and clarity. Like sometimes we come in to our work, into our questions, feeling pretty tired and pretty uncertain of what that's going to look like. And I think that that's actually a really good place to be sitting in for our discussion about the Cancer full moon, the final full moon of 2023, which is happening on December 27th, right before New Year's. And the Cancer full moon almost always sits somewhere really beautifully, either at the very end of the year or the very beginning of a new year. I've always loved the Cancer full moon as this place of deep honesty, emotional integrity, and an ability to kind of have perspective. So the sun will be at 4 degrees of Capricorn and the moon will be at 4 degrees of Cancer. The Cancer-Capricorn axis I've always found to be such a powerful place to check in with our process because for me it's tied so deeply to our inner parenting, how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, how we create a sense of safety, consistency, and security within ourselves in a world and in lifetimes that involve a lot of uncertainty, a lot of the unknown, a lot of the mystery. The Cancer-Capricorn axis is really, really essential for each and every one of us to be able to be here and live this life because we need that inner nurturance. We need that sense of inner parenting to hold us. And I think the Cancer Capricorn axis has a lot to do with our self-worth, our self-value, how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves. And it challenges us to think about how we get a sense of self-worth. A lot of us are taught that we need to do that through external validation or through being independent or through, being self-sufficient. But I find that both of these signs, while it might start off feeling like it's about being self-sufficient, about being able to forge forward, ends up being about finding self-worth through caring for ourselves, through being gentler with ourselves, through being witnessed in our vulnerability, through needing to ask for help, and that there's so many different ways to do that. So I think there's a lot of compassion in the Cancer Capricorn axis, and a lot of our learning in life goes through this axis, through learning how to inner parent, through learning how to parent in a way that maybe previous generations never experienced, learning how to connect with a sense of determination and clarity and purpose, not from a place of force, not from a place of stress, but from a sense of working from the deep well of care. And of course, the Cancer full moon is going to be highlighting our inner nurturer, the part of us that longs for love and comfort and a sense of place, a sense of belonging, maybe needs a little bit of help, needs to feel held by others. There's a really, really deep softness I find the Cancer full moon to always be a time of really deep emotional clarity for me. A lot of emotions I will like to move through, just let myself reflect on the last year, let emotions move through, let myself be where I am in that process and really care for myself. And I love that there's just that simple, sweet moment of that. Sometimes that's all that it is. Just taking a moment to be where you are, to feel what you feel, and to care for yourself within that. Now, this full moon has one big conversation going on, and that is it's sextiling Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter in Taurus has been happening since May 16th, 2023, and has been retrograde since September 4th. And Jupiter is going to go direct on the 30th, the 31st, thereabouts. So this full moon is also a closing to Jupiter retrograde. And I think this is a really great retrospective moment to just look at the year you've been through, look at all you have experienced. But most importantly, I think this is the central message of this full moon and this conversation, this sextile, this beautiful flowing energy with Jupiter and Taurus. I love a good earth water moment. And that is be nice to yourself. Because I think all of us have gone through a lot of growth this year, whether we wanted to or not. A lot of change, a lot of questioning, a lot of wondering what it's going to look like next. A lot of us are probably going to be sitting in this full moon still not knowing exactly what it's going to look like. Did we make all the right decisions? Did we try hard enough? Did we create enough? Jupiter and Taurus, when that transit started, there was a lot of discussion about it being about abundant creativity and all the ideas spurting forth. And I think a lot of us have felt the pressure to take advantage of that beautiful combination of energies. And maybe we wanted to do more this year, or maybe it feels like we should have made more intuitive choices, whatever it might be. This full moon is a moment of grace. And I think clarity of sight to understand what you actually did. Yes, there are plenty of things we could have done. That's always the case. We could spend all our time thinking about all the things we could have done in the past. But none of that matters because there were actual processes at work that were working with you, that were moving with you, that were showing you so much beauty. And I think this is a really powerful full moon to just honor that all of that was moved through, that all of that was there. I think also this full moon is a reminder of some really basic, deep principles, like when things can be soft, when they can be simpler, when they can be easier, let them be. Not everything can be simpler and easier. There's plenty of things that don't really have that option, don't really have that setting. But there are also lots of little places where we can opt for simpler. We can opt for gentler. Let yourself have little spaces with nothing in them, spaces in your mind, spaces in your life with nothing in them, so that excitement and joy and inspiration can come back in. I think this full moon reminds us to just come back to basics. And I have a few questions that I think are really helpful to just check in with during this time. Where do you feel like you have to do everything on your own and with just your power and just move through, power through, make it happen? Would it be okay to ask for help in this coming year? Would it be okay to ask for, somebody else to help you with a project, or just ask, the universal energetics for help? Would it be okay to not feel like you have to be self-sustaining? Cancerian energy always teaches us that it's okay to seek help and guidance and nurturance, that we aren't just these isolated individuals that have to power through and just take care of everything. It's a very healing thing to ask yourself where you just would love some grace, you would love some help, you would love to not carry it all on your own, and just feeling through that. What are some things you have felt were failures this last year? I think it's really powerful to sit with those things, because I want to ask the follow-up question of, were they really failures? How do we define failure and success? How do we define what a good life is? How do we define ourselves within that? And are we using true language when we're talking about our successes, our failures, our regrets, our hopes? It's a really great time to just, if you have some thoughts about this last year that maybe it should have been a different way, this is a great time to just sit with that story and see how you're talking about yourself. And finally, what are some aspects of yourself that you always feel you need to improve? And what would happen if you were gentler about your self-improvement? I think I've always said this, that it's one of the great processes in life is distinguishing between the things that, yes, we can heal, we can improve, we can learn. Of course, we're all wanting to learn and grow. And the things that it's like, maybe it's okay that you don't constantly feel you need to learn and grow and change it. And I think this is a really great time to just kind of take some time to differentiate between something you actually want to learn and grow from and what doesn't need to be improved upon, and just creating some softness now there. There's one final little side conversation I just wanted to bring up briefly, and that is that Mercury retrograde and Mars are going to be very close together during this full moon in Sagittarius, conjunct in Sagittarius, and they're squaring Neptune. So this is kind of in the background of all that Cancer Capricorn energy I was just talking about. But this actually adds into the conversation when we're talking about Cancerian wisdom, when we're talking about that deep love, that deep kindness, that deep nurturance, that deep understanding, that deep caring, and that deep clarity of sight that comes from looking at ourselves and our lives through that lens, because it is extremely powerful. It changes the way you will see everything about yourself when you take some time to go there. But this side conversation that's happening in the background, this square going on in these mutable energies, asks questions about the force we use on ourselves. And this comes back around to this idea of self-improvement, of success, of making it happen, and really questioning that, because how is your sense of force, of powering through, working for you? Is it bringing you success, or is it bringing you weariness? What role do you want force or creative blooming to play in your life? What do you want that to look like? And I think it's a great moment too to ask, do you have a belief around it being responsible to constantly feel stressed, forceful, and pushing through? And are there rules around what it looks like to be a responsive, loving, present, capable person? This is a really great full moon to kind of reevaluate how we are going to be assessing our progress through the year coming up, and the itinerary we might have for what it means to be a good person or a valuable person or successful person. Everything about this full moon is asking for deeper kindness towards ourselves, and to kind of work with our paradigm when it comes to who we think we need to be. Let's see what intuitive cards want to come into this conversation. I am so looking forward to this full moon. I feel like I really need that kindness, and to kind of reframe, what I think of as a valuable year, a valuable day, a valuable week in my life, and find some of that kindness. So I'm really looking forward to some of that loving, nurturing, energetic to come through and just illuminate for me where I can release some pressure and welcome in some deeper softness for the new year. Page of Pentacles. I love it. So hopeful. So the possibilities are just so open and supportive. I love that kind of supportive energy is showing up here in this conversation. I think it's so important to have moments of just feeling support. Life is always offering up challenges and unknowns, and sometimes we just need moments that just feel really supportive, really magical, really loving. And I think that this full moon sextiling Jupiter and Taurus, giving us a moment to recognize our whole deep, powerful process, is so beautiful. The Fool. Oh my goodness. You can see there's a deep innocence to this full moon. And I'm feeling it as I'm sitting here. It almost makes me want to cry. Just that beautiful innocence of care and hope and creativity. I think so many of us need it at the end of this year, just the simplicity of that kindness. Two more cards wanted to come out. Four of Cups and Ace of Pentacles. Wow, this is so beautiful. So, we'll just start with Page of Pentacles and the Fool. I love these two together. They really work together. They're facing each other in this scenario, but they really work together because both of these represent a willingness to be open. and to be open to ourselves, to be open to where we are in this moment, and to be open to the fact that there are a lot of elements we don't know. It's the unimaginable horizon that I always love to talk about, but there are so many elements that are going to come in and show themselves and develop that we can't see right now. And I think just practicing some optimistic hopefulness in this little moment of the year is so beautiful. Not even to have specific dreams, specific objectives, specific things we think we need to get done, but just giving some space for there to be possibility here, for there to be support, the possibility that we could be really supported and loved is so beautiful. And I think that's really interesting that these two hopeful, fresh start, new inspiration, new ideas coming in are here because it's paired with Four of Cups, which I have found to be such an important element of life. This is how life feels so often. And I've realized the more I've looked at Four of Cups, the more I've realized that we experience life this way as human beings in our perceptual limits and everything. Like, we can never really fully see this cup. I mean, we can sometimes if we're meditating or we're really tuned in, but a lot of times, we are looking at the elements that are right in front of us. We are looking at the scenarios that are right in front of us, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Of course, like, we're in our lives, we're responding to our lives, we're responding to all of that. That's totally valid. But there is always this element coming in on the side that we aren't even looking out for. We don't even know that it's there. And I think there's a recognition here that there is that energy in the air. I think this coming year is going to be full of so many new elements that we'll all be exploring and working with. And during this full moon, it's not about knowing what those elements are, but it is about the soft opening. And then finally, of course, we have Ace of Pentacles, which kind of mirrors our Page of Pentacles here. They're both holding out this beautiful gift, holding out a beautiful gift, holding out a new energetic cycle, holding out a new creative cycle, holding out a new way. And I do think that coming into the end of this year, coming through this full moon from that place of really deep kindness and softness, self-mothering, self-fathering, self-parenting in a really loving, stable, secure way is one of the best ways to open ourselves to the possibility of beautiful ingredients coming in. And I think that is really what this full moon is here to do. It's just to give us that beautiful, hopeful softness, a sense of shape, a sense of security in our not knowing. And I think sometimes that's all we really need. I'm going to be offering up an activation that really builds on developing that sense of loving warmth from the core to take with us into the new year. So I would love to see you over on my Patreon for that. That's where I put out all my extra resources, all the teachings and the spaces for every single week of the year. We have a conversation and I put out my activations for the new and the full moons, as well as we are doing the Gentle New Year's series. It has begun, but it will be available to watch at your leisure for any patrons on any tier. So I'd love to see you there for that series. It's going to be so beautiful. And it's such a soothing, gentle, soft, loving way to move through the year and get in touch with our own unique rhythms, what we're really envisioning, what we want, and differentiating between what we really truly want to develop and what doesn't feel so true, and also just taking off the pressure of being on top of it, of starting the new year strong, taking all of that kind of equipment out of the perspective and bringing it back to some really soft, wonderful places. So I would love to see you there for that. And that will be really useful, I think, all the way through the beginning of this year. At any point where you're going through a transition, it's a really, really useful tool set that I have developed there. It's a 4-week journey, so I'd love to see you. As always, when you subscribe here, it makes a huge difference. This landscape of the internet is very much about this attention economy and all of that. And I'm really tired when it comes to all of that. I'm not really interested in it, but I love having you here and I love being able to continue to do this work. So anytime you leave a comment or you subscribe or you like a video, it does make it possible for me to be here in this space. So always appreciate that. And of course, you can find me on my website and my Instagram if you're looking for a little more support or inspiration or softness. So I love to see you in all those places, and I will see you back here again. We have a new moon in Capricorn coming up and a whole bunch of New Year conversations ahead. I can't wait to share them with you. Talk to you soon.